It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews.
There's going to be much higher expectations, sense of awareness of what we bring to the table.
Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends it. Yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Full Court Press. Jason Walker here, alongside the returning Eric Frandsen.
Oh, hello.
Glad to have you back.
It's good to be back.
You've wandered back into the office.
Yes.
After a long time away.
It was quite the wander to get here.
If you wanted to join the show like Eric Frandsen has decided to do, you can text the show 435-339-0321. You can welcome him back. Or chime in on any one of our many topics for the day. More transfer portal madness. There's also Team USA for basketball. That's been announced for the upcoming Paris Olympics. It's a star-studded lineup there. Maybe is it the Dream Team 3.0 or whatever? I don't know. They'll probably come up with some name for it because there's a lot of stars.
The Paris team.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something like that. It's also officially official. The great state of Utah will be the home to a new hockey team. I don't know, new hockey team, but a hockey team. It's new, but not new.
Right. They'll get all the assets. They'll get the history. They'll get the future draft capital, but they can call it whatever they want.
Yeah.
I mean, the front office, everything moves with them except the name. And that's about the only thing that doesn't come with them.
Yeah, basically, the only thing that's not coming is the name Coyotes.
Yes.
Everything else is subject to come over to Utah. It was the vote of approval came from the NHL Board of Directors today, so that's why it's officially official. Ryan Smith, before it was even official, was basically confirming it. There was a clip of him. We may have to end up playing it. We'll push more of the hockey talk toward the second hour, but he was basically saying, yeah, I'm excited for hockey to come to Utah. And it hadn't even been official yet. But
right.
It's been...
These are all the things we need to do this summer
to
get ready for this hockey team, which we don't have officially.
Yeah, but it's been unofficially official for about a week now, I think. Maybe a week and a half. It's been something like that. But we're going to start off the show with, downer news. The more transfer portal madness, and a lot of the transfer portal is taking and not doing a whole lot of giving at the moment. There was one announcement earlier this week. I know, Eric, you weren't around here for that, but we got a point guard in town, Dayton Albury out of Queens. But since then, it's been kind of a steady stream of guys on the way out. Mostly in football, although there was an entry into the portal this morning from basketball. Maybe it was this afternoon. But basketball losing Max Agbonkpolo, who decided to enter the transfer portal. It was presumed that he's going to get a medical waiver or medical red shirt. For this past season, he only played in 10 games. He was fairly impactful in those 10 games, especially defensively. Very versatile forward. But ultimately, he is going to try and go to what will be his fourth school in his career in 6 seasons. So a very well-traveled Max Agbonkpolo.
Yes.
Going to spend a 6th season in college basketball upcoming. And if you want to get the updates on any of these transfer portal entries, I've got trackers for both football and men's and women's basketball, tracking which players are entering the transfer portal, which incoming transfers there are, It'll also have links to any breakdowns I do of any incoming players. I'm going to try and do a full breakdown, scouting report, whatever you want to call it, of the players that come in from men's and women's basketball. It's not like I'm going to do anything else this summer, so might as well spend a ton of time watching too much film on a bunch of new Aggies.
Yeah, look, it's really frustrating. We express this now every 4 months, it seems like. 4 to 6 months. We have these periods where it gets really frustrating. Where it looks like you have these windows of time where, okay, guys are going to come or they're going to go. Or they're declaring they're going to stick around. Look at December, Cooper Lega's like, hey, let's run it back. Devon Booth, hey, let's run it back. There's this big push. All these guys like, hey, we got something going here. We stick around. We're going to have a special year in 24. And a few months later, these guys are on their way out.
Yeah, so by the count that I had, there were 8 players who posted some public affirmation that they were sticking around. Football players. Of those 8 that said, we're staying, run it back, of those 8, 3 have now entered the transfer portal. So, like, when I was saying, like, in the fall or in the winter, like, when those were happening, I thought, okay, then maybe this will be a trend that teams are going to start doing this. Blake Anderson was making a push to do this. Get the fans excited by having the players publicly announce, hey, we're sticking around. I don't think that trend's going to catch on because nobody ever sticks to that. And mind you, Utah State's benefited from that because they had a basketball player that's currently on the team tweet that he was 1,000% committed to one school, and within a couple of months he'd already transferred to Utah State. So nobody sticks to what they say anymore. And I don't really want to say that as a derogatory, shot across the bow against any of these players. Because things change. But it's just kind of another aspect of this, of college sports that is, as you said, it's frustrating. Where you don't know what's going to happen. And if you're a mid-major team, you're just constantly sitting there in fear of having your best players suddenly gone.
So this is frustrating for multiple layers here, right? Because in December we had these players saying, maybe it was early January, I thought it was late December, but at some point declaring, we're coming back, we're sticking around. And now they're like, no, actually going somewhere else, respect my decision. What happened in that span of time? And then also, the thing that's the other layer of frustration is that they're still in the middle of spring football. I mean, the window opened for players to declare if they wanted to leave or not on, Monday? And I get Devon Booth is today, and the close of spring practices are on Saturday, but still, it's really frustrating. As a coach, you're in the middle of developing your team. You've gone weeks now running these drills, running practices, running guys through different units. And I don't know if maybe that's the reason why they've put their names in the portal at this point, because now they've figured my role isn't as secure as I thought it was. I don't know, but it's really frustrating. Because now you're going to go to the last couple of days of practice. I mean, does Cooper Lega still show up and put his pads on? Does Devon Booth take reps? Do they show up for the spring game on Saturday?
Yeah, I wonder.
How awkward is that?
I wonder if they'll be around. Blake's not going to have him taking snaps. I can tell you that. He's going to hand those snaps to somebody else, although they're going to be
they're still on campus.
Yeah, they pretty much have to be until the end of the...
still enrolled.
Yeah, they're enrolled at Utah State. They will transfer out after this semester. But yeah, it's going to be incredibly awkward because you're getting set up and they're still, the social medias are all posting about it. And like, heck, today, like not even an hour ago, Utah State's posting social media stuff about, hey, buy season tickets.
Yeah, it's like, man, what's the timing here?
It's like, You're trying to get hyped for next season, trying to get hyped for a spring game. I'm getting ready to watch these guys. Okay, I want to watch a quarterback battle. Maybe get a chance to see the three-headed rush attack. Get some snaps for those guys. Maybe see the improved defensive line, and then bam, 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 you're down a starting defensive end. You're down a starting running back, or at least somebody who's gonna maybe be the starting back, or at least get high reps at running back, and obviously you're starting quarterbacks. It's like just like that. And of course, you lost 2 quarterbacks, so this team only has 2 quarterbacks, or excuse me, they have 3 quarterbacks on the roster. And I guess that's your top 3 depth chart. You've only got 3 of them. Spencer Petras went from hot on Cooper Laga's tail to be the starting quarterback to that's his job now.
Yes.
And there ain't nobody else going to take it.
I just hope to heaven that guy stays healthy.
Yeah, basically. Because you got Bryson Barnes, who I guess he's good, but...
Yeah, he won some games for the Utes. I mean, he's not as refined. In the scrimmage that I saw, it was clear that Laga and Petras were the better quarterbacks. They were ahead of Barnes. And it could have been that he just was not having a good day, and that can happen.
Yeah. But it just kind of crushes you.
Yeah, Paul Fitzgerald, he's this young defensive end, kind of gets thrust into a role because of necessity last year, but he grows in that role. He makes great plays. We're all thinking, this guy's got great upside. Look at all this experience that he's gaining. He's improving as a player. He's going to be a real anchor for that defensive front this next year. No, he's gone.
And that's the frustrating thing about this time of year is that it's basically the time of year for bigger schools. Like, let's take Paul Fitzgerald, University of Utah, where he entered the portal and within a day. He'd committed to Utah.
Like that.
About the same way Waylon Lapuaho did.
You can't tell me tampering wasn't taking place.
Yeah. Like, you've seen that each of the last couple of years where BYU, they needed an offensive lineman and a linebacker, among other things, and they said, oh, hey, we're just going to go tell AJ Vongpachong and Waylon Lapuaho, hey, come play here. And then, bam, they're gone and have transferred to BYU within days. Because, they get through spring ball and they say, hey, we need these things. And so they offer money and, boom, they're gone. And same thing happening here with Paul Fitzgerald. Utah said, hey, we need a defensive end. And I'm sure it's not the only thing, but, hey, we need to bolster our depth of defensive end. Let's go take the starter at a G5 team. I guess that's just the new norm. And Utah State is essentially powerless to stop it. Because these kids are going to see the money, they're going to see the name. They say, hey, we can go play in the Big 12 and get NIL.
Well, and the challenging part here is that who is in Utah State's wheelhouse to do that to? There really isn't. I mean, no one close. I mean, Utah and BYU they're in the same market. These kids can transfer and still have family close to beat all their games. And it's, not that big of a cultural shift or geographic shift.
Well, in a lot of Utah
State can't do that to somebody else.
Yeah, the best they could do is like Weber State, but then you're going down to FCS.
Right. If you want this level of athlete, the type of body that you need, the type of experience and talent, I mean, yes, I'm not saying that there aren't those types of players who do or can exist at a Weber State, but they're just not on the same level.
Yeah, the talent is much more comparable between Utah State and the likes of BYU and Utah than between Utah State and any FCS team.
Yes.
So, yeah, the thing is with Utah State, a lot of their in-state guys come from the Wasatch Front, where most of them would have grown up watching BYU and Utah as opposed to Utah State. They just come to Utah State because they want to stay in-state. Maybe they weren't good enough, supposedly, or didn't get recruited by Utah and BYU. They come prove themselves at Utah State, and then finally BYU and Utah are like, oh, yeah, we want you now.
We need to fill an injury gap, so let's go get somebody who's already
we need a backup
been developed, already gone through the weight training and nutrition at the Division I level.
Yeah, and taking the snaps.
Fast track their development. Just pick them off.
That's basically the spring portal. We want to get to some texts. 8968. Getting political, I guess, somehow. I understand that Donald Trump has asked for 5% NIL money from other GOP candidates. Gee, I wonder if he'll enter the transfer portal if he doesn't get it.
Okay.
I haven't followed politics very much.
He is a little cash strapped right now.
That's true. You kind of use that. 9-5 saying the confusing thing is why does football get 2 portal days? Every sport should only have 1 time a year. And yeah, that's the frustrating thing with football is that you have this first window where maybe we'll get into this later, but you have a first window where it's a free-for-all, but you have time to set your roster and then you start spring ball. But like after that, like then what's the point of spring ball anymore if a bunch of your key guys are going to leave after spring
hate
ball?
The spring portal. I think it's stupid. I get it. Like if you don't think you've got somebody who's going to make it, then you're coaching them into the portal that opens up in December, or you work with them and through the summer to develop and work in fall camp. You should know by the end of the regular season if you think they've got a future for you or not. I just think it's stupid. You do a portal in December, and then 4 months later you do a portal again.
Yeah.
How do you build a roster? How do you build any consistency with the team?
You can't.
You can't.
Especially if you're G5. 2305 texting and saying, you guys seem so surprised at what happened. Surely you both know this is the new normal for all of USU sports. Why would this not happen?
I'm not surprised. I'm frustrated. I'm not voicing my surprise that this has happened. I'm voicing my anger. I'm getting tired of it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Not surprised like, oh my gosh, how could this happen? It's, oh my gosh, I'm tired of this happening.
Yeah, it's the same over and over again. Like our entire job of covering sports at this point is covering the transfer portal. And then when we get into the season, Blake Anderson's like, well, we lost a bunch of guys in the transfer portal, so we're not good. And so it's a never-ending thing. Because you can't keep a roster.
You can't develop anybody.
Yeah, you can't develop anybody. It is impossible to develop players. Like, what player has Utah State developed to be a key guy on their roster? There are guys, but like
a few. Ike Larson.
Yeah, Ike Larson. A few of the offensive linemen. But like virtually everyone is a transfer in. And basically nobody, very few, are like juniors or seniors that have spent their entire time here because the second they show competence, they're gone. Picked off by somebody else. That's pretty much that's the new norm, I guess. 3331 saying sounds like maybe Anderson may be the biggest reason players are leaving. Cooper has been the whipping boy since Blake arrived here. He never gave Laga any credit and tried to give it to Hillstead, and in the end lost them both after overpacking the QB roster. The whole system is a mess.
Okay, so I've thought about this Laga situation, and then maybe we can talk about Hillstead. I think that's a separate deal. But Laga, I'd rather that he stay. But consider his career. The only times he really got starting opportunities is because someone ahead of him was hurt. Going into last year was the exception. And then even then, he really wasn't performing at a very high level and had to be replaced. Now, that seemed to work as a motivation for him because then later in the season, when Hillstead got hurt and had to go back to Laga, he performed, and he performed well. But it took a lot to get him to where he needed to be as a quarterback. And so he'd been here a long time. He'd gone up to this program, and look, he'd been very loyal through all of this up until this last week.
Yeah.
Through all of these ups and downs. But he was in line to be competing to be the starter. And maybe since that last scrimmage, it's becoming more clear that Petrus is the starter, and Laga's like enough is enough.
Yeah,
that could be it. But look, if Petrus is the starter and he's outperforming Cooper Legas, that's more of an indictment on Cooper Legas than it is on Blake Anderson.
Yeah, because he started camp as the number one guy, finished last year as the number one guy, at least when he was healthy. But my thing is, there's basically two explanations for Legas leaving. And neither of them are really him being necessarily frustrated with Anderson. Now, maybe that plays into it, but I can't imagine it's the number one reason. Because if that was the number one reason, he would have been gone in the winter window. He'd have never stuck around for spring ball.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really add up. Again, that's not to say that there are no hard feelings and that wasn't a factor in any sense. But the two factors that it could be, in my mind, are him maybe feeling like he's losing the quarterback battle to Spencer Petras. Or it was one of those tampering situations. I don't know which. I don't know if I'll ever know. But it's one of those two. Because, yeah, if it was anything else, he'd have been gone already. And so that's where it kind of came out of left field at this point. Because, like, if you would have told me after the bowl game Cooper Legas is going to transfer, I'd have been like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
totally
I can
makes
see
sense.
it. Uh-huh.
After the winter window had closed, if you'd have told me, I'd been like, well, why didn't he do it before?
Right.
So
the timing is just weird.
That's why it was a bit of a mystery there. Now, we do need to take a break. We got more texts coming in. We'll continue talking about just the nature of the spring window, how it's kind of a jerk to programs like Utah State, where the portal giveth and taketh, but the spring window seems a lot more intent on taking and has a lot harder time giving, whereas the winter window is a lot more fair in terms of how much it gives and takes. So we'll get to that coming up next here on the Full Court Press on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Do you have a backup generator, or have you explored the options of adding one to your home? Generac backup generators will keep your home or business safe and cool during the summer months if the power goes out. Do you already have a system? Golden Spike Electric can service it for you. If you don't have one, Golden Spike Electric can find the right model for your needs. Find them online at gsegenerators.com or call 435-257-3016. Golden Spike Electric and Generac, power you can count on.
Riley Crosby, President and Lead Wealth Advisor at Adams Wealth Advisors, has been recognized as a recipient of the prestigious 40 Under 40 Award from Utah Business Magazine. Riley is a standout in the financial planning industry, holding rigorous titles like Certified Financial Planner and Licensed Certified Public Accountant. With Riley, you're not just a client, you're family. Congratulations, Riley. Search Adams Wealth Advisors for more details. Awarded by Utah Business Magazine on 2/24 based on entries from September to November 23. No compensation to Utah Business Magazine was given for entry or the use of the 40 Under 40 Award.
This is Nate Lamson with Valley Office Systems, your home team when local matters. Valley Office Systems is your local provider for all things office, copiers, printers, furniture, and document management. Proudly serving Cache Valley since 2007. Visit valleyofficesystems.com.
What can a business technology partner do for you? Well, a great one like Les Olson IT will help you become more efficient, more secure, and help you stay on top of your network. Plus, they have all the products and services you need. Computers, servers, business telephones, surveillance cameras, office applications are just the start. Les Olson IT's network cabling team can help you build a network from scratch or improve your existing network. Learn more about your office technology partner at lesolson.com.
Les Olson IT.
Listen up, Aggies. Blue and white days are here, and that means the biggest sale of the year at Locker 42. This week, Coliseum coats are 30% off, and all Locker tees are 20% off. Check Locker 42's Instagram for more weekly specials, plus even bigger discounts with daily flash sale items. Everyone who shops Blue and White Days is entered for weekly prize drawings. Blue and White Days are the biggest discounts of the year on your favorite Aggie logoed items. Locker 42, 14th North, next to Little Caesars, and the flagship store downtown at 36 South Main.
JM Mechanical knows spring is sure to make its appearance someday, and when it does, how soon we'll forget the snow, ice, and 0-degree temperatures. 90-plus degree days will take over. JM Mechanical knows how to deal with the extreme temperatures of northern Utah. They know how to replace every type of heating or air conditioning brand. Fast 24-hour service is available in Box Elder, Cache, and Franklin counties with a 100% satisfaction guarantee and upfront pricing. Call JM Mechanical at 563-6267. That's 563-6267.
Talking the sports you care about. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
435-339-0321. That's the number to text to join the Full Court Press via the Full Court Press text line. Jason Walker here alongside Eric Frandsen, who's made his triumphant return just in time for all of the Utah State players to leave town.
Is it coincidence?
I think not. Eric, you better leave again.
No.
When you left last time, Utah State got a transfer in basketball, so just saying.
Well,
pack your bags.
Hillstead and Legab made their announcements while I was gone.
That's true. We had and Paul Fitzgerald too. So
yes.
Yeah, if you want a full, as far as I'm aware, up-to-date list of players who have transferred from Utah State, both in football and basketball, you can find those on CashValleyDaily.com. A lot of text coming in. Want to get to those real quick. 5338 saying Utah will need to round up another new truck for Paul Fitzgerald. The Aggies can kick his butt when Utah comes to the MAV in September. Yeah, Fitzgerald, if he even plays.
Yeah, if he plays, I don't know.
Like I said, I feel like a lot of these guys are told, hey, you're going to compete for our starting job. And they're not going to start, and their NIL is going to be dependent on how much they play, and they're not going to get nearly as much. Yeah. I don't know if Utah's like that. I don't want to besmirch them and say that's the case there, but that happens.
But AJ Vongpachon ended up playing a very important role.
Of course, he was one of the few. I think there were two guys out of a bunch of the starters who transferred away that had basically the same level of success. Funnily enough, they were both at BYU. So maybe Utah will be the same way.
Yeah.
Maybe Paul Fitzgerald will have a good season. He was going to have a good season at Utah State. Hopefully he actually does get that chance. 'Cause I think if he plays, he can be good. But that's what you always worry is, are they actually going to be given that chance?
6521, over-under on how many days before Booth lands at Utah?
That's the thing is, I'm half expecting Cooper Legas to be announced at BYU. Booth, apparently, I didn't initially think of Utah because I don't know the roster situations of these two teams, so I don't know if they're going after Utah State guys. But it wouldn't surprise me one bit if most of these guys end up at teams down south, because those teams recognize Utah State has some talented guys. They want to bolster their rosters before fall camp, so they just pick off Utah State by offering NIL.
Right.
That's just how it is. 2-1-2.
Well, besides that, I get there's an allure of playing on a team in a bigger venue in a bigger conference, but what's your role going to be on that team?
Well, not really anybody's blaming these athletes. It's more the system that's enabling this. It's enabling bigger teams to tamper with smaller teams to just pick off their starters to bolster other teams' depth. Because as if getting all the top recruits wasn't enough.
Right.
2122 saying Bobby Wagner developed well. Jordan Love too. I guess that wasn't necessarily my point. I was talking more lately, who are guys that have developed at this
in
point.
The
you look
transfer
at
portal NIL era.
Yeah, you look at this current team and who on the team has developed 3-4 years to be a starter. They're there, especially in the offensive line. In fact, the offensive line is kind of full of them. Ike Larson is an example. There are guys that have done that, but a big chunk of the roster, once they start developing, then they're gone. Or the Aggies have had to forego developing those guys to just bring in transfers. The Jalen Royal, Spencer Petras, bunch of different guys. Most of the defense. So it's becoming to the point where you can't develop anybody because the second you develop, one, a lot of them don't stick around beyond their redshirt freshman season because then they transfer out.
Briggs has that potential.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen a lot of consistency from Briggs, just health-wise, or because other guys were ahead of him.
2122 saying, I agree. I was going for sarcasm and failed to land it.
Oh.
Sarcasm doesn't translate very well over text. Sorry about that. Yeah, Utah State used to develop. It used to be you develop a guy. Now they can't do that anymore. Heck, nobody can, to be honest.
No.
Because not even the big schools can do that, because the second their freshman doesn't play, they transfer down to a school like Utah State. And then they play well, and then they transfer back up.
Yep.
Because that's the circle of life.
It's a yo-yo.
Basically. Yeah, yo-yo is probably the better example there. 5452 does also get tired of... Let's see, actually... No, there are two texts, I think. Oh, yes, 3 texts.
3 texts.
Oh, I'm way behind. Sorry about that, 5452. Says 150K in a truck has lured a few Aggies to the Utes, magically entering the portal and quickly committed to Utah. And 3 of the... What's the name of that emoji? The one with the hand on the chin?
Yeah. Kind of
interesting.
Interesting.
Curious. Like I said, there's some very quick portal entries and exits to players that head south, and Paul Fitzgerald is neither the first nor will he be the last to have that quick turnaround.
No. 5452 continues. All this movement makes it really hard to want to donate to the collective when this NIL and transfer portal garbage keeps happening. So frustrating. Makes it hard to also want to continue with season tickets, never knowing what the team is going to look like each year. Also get tired of blaming the coaching staff for people transferring. Utah State flat out cannot compete with the money that P4 teams can offer. This continues happening at schools like Utah State regardless of who the coaches are.
Yeah, if it was players that hated the coaching, they'd have left in the winter portal. They'd have done it then. They didn't. They all said, we're going to stick around. We love it here. These were guys who were all in line. Devon Booth, Paul Fitzgerald, Cooper Legas. Maybe some of them could have seen a role reduction. Like Cooper Legas kind of the only one where maybe he would have lost his job.
Or even if, there's a new defensive coordinator. He's got a new system. He's got new philosophies. And if you don't fit in that, then, okay, maybe that makes sense. But most of these guys we're talking about are offensive guys where there is stability.
Yeah, and it's just insane. And the point that, and I keep seeing this now, like more and more Utah State fans are like, why are we even donating to NIL? Or like, they're saying I wouldn't want to. Because like the collective, the Blue Light Collective, making this big push, publicity, trying to reach out to the media and say, hey, look, trying as best we can. Hey, we are trying to get this NIL built up so we can keep the guys around. And then the portal comes around, and all the guys that they were trying to say, hey, well, look, we can keep this guy and we can keep this guy. Well, they're all leaving. Your starting quarterback, the Mountain West Player of the Year in basketball is leaving. Several other guys are leaving in the portal. Several starters have now left since that, campaign and that push. Like, I don't really want to put the blame on the NIL, but it's because, they're trying their best and they are raising that
Blue
money.
Light Collective, yeah.
But for the fans, when the message is donate to the NIL, donate your hard-earned money, which is because with inflation, and don't want to get political, but times are getting tough. Donate that hard-earned money. And the perception at this point is we're putting money in the pocket of a player who is now leaving and didn't care one bit about the university.
At least not enough.
Yeah. Now, that's not necessarily what is happening, but that's the perception that I think a lot of people are going to take away, or they're going to feel that way. Because like these players do care when they're here, and they care about the fans. But when they leave, again, that's not a great look. And to a person who's donating potentially thousands of dollars, it gets old fast.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're the NIL collective leadership, how are you going to go talk to somebody and say, hey, can you donate thousands of dollars to this player and he'll stay? And the response to that pretty quickly is going to be a raised eyebrow and be like, really? Is he going to stay? Or is he going to take the money and run? Like, that's a very dangerous cliff that you're kind of dangling on the side of, where you're trying to convince people to donate to the NIL and it doesn't seem to be having a noticeable effect. Now, it is having an effect, because keep in mind, maybe I should knock on wood really quick here, but guys like Jalen Royals and Ike Larson and, Mason Falslev, and a lot of these guys are sticking around.
Right. There are success stories. There are cases where guys are opting to stay and where the opportunity to leave has been presented to them, but they've decided not to.
Yeah. In the face of some dang good offers that all of those players that I listed off have gotten. But yeah, it gets old when you suddenly get to the spring window. Fall or spring camp hasn't even ended, and bam, 3 or 4 starters are gone.
Let's see. We need to hit a timeout here, but before we do that, and just another text 2305. Let's see. Maybe a better way of putting it is you probably should get used to being frustrated by USU athletics like the rest of us. And it seems the landscape of college athletics has changed so drastically that teams like Utah State are no longer in a competitive market to play major sports against other big conferences, or even within their own conference, they're probably have one of the smallest budgets in the Mountain West.
I think the saving grace for Utah State is the idea that they will be on equal footing with the rest of the Mountain West. And especially if you look in basketball, like I've got a spreadsheet that shows all the transfers away from the Mountain West. Everyone's feeling it.
Yeah, Ogbo announced today at Boise State. He's on the move.
Yeah. For a second, I thought you were saying Agbong Polo, and I was like, we already mentioned that, Eric.
Close. Agbong Polo has a few more
syllables. A few more consonants and vowels.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everyone's feeling it. And in football, I haven't tracked that because I don't have a spreadsheet big enough to track that, nor the patience to track that down. But I imagine it's similar for a lot. It feels like Utah State's getting worse because that's who we're paying attention to, and because they have two very close neighbors who find it very easy to pick off some of their players.
Yeah, I'm really stuck on the fact that this portal window has opened while Utah State is still in its spring practices. And maybe the Aggies just need to move things up a week.
Yeah, because a lot of teams were concluding their spring practice like last week.
Because this is so frustrating. You've gone through the 90% of your spring with these guys, and now they're saying they're leaving.
Yeah, Family Fun Day.
No, where's the guys that I recognize who were made big plays last year? Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're gone.
They're leaving.
They decided to leave.
They were at the one scrimmage or the one practice that I saw, but they're not there anymore.
Yeah. Hashtag respect my decision.
Yeah. Anyway,
we got to take a break. As said, we'll get to more text on the other side. Coming up next, on the Full Court Press.
Elements has delicious lunch specials. Soup, salad, and bread for just $10 is tasty and quick. Elements lunch menu is full of scrumptious items. Wood-fired pizzas are an excellent choice that include barbecued chicken and the bee's knees. The fresh battered halibut fish and chips with seasoned fries is always a hit. And don't forget the fan favorite, Chipotle fried chicken sandwich. Thursdays, enjoy Elements house-made smoked brisket, casual or professional. Open Monday through Thursday, 11:30 to 8 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11:30 to 9. Visit theelementsrestaurant.com for reservations.
Summer in Cache Valley is beautiful, and the Sportsman on Main Street has all your bike needs covered. Get your bike in now for service or a tune-up. We can usually get your service done in about 2 days. Be ready for the beautiful riding days ahead. If you need a new bike, we have kids to adult full suspension mountain bikes and e-bikes for around town or the mountains. From bikes to helmets to locks and clothing, come and see us at the Sportsman on Main Street in downtown Logan for all your biking needs.
She was there for you on your first day of school and all those special moments since. Now, Mom needs you. When Mom or someone you love needs home health or hospice, give them the care they deserve. With core values of character, experience, and trust, see why we have been voted Best of Northern Utah. Contact Aggies today, 435-723-9000, or find us on the web at myaggies.com.
No reason to wheeze and sneeze while around dogs and cats. The Allergy Clinic has extremely aggressive treatments for dog and cat allergies. Get the help you need and stop avoiding friends and relatives' homes because of their pets. Doctors Benyon, Blotter, and Robinette offer Cache Valley a full-time allergy clinic to test and address your allergy concerns. Most insurance products, including SelectMed, are accepted. The Cache Valley Allergy Clinic with 2 locations, Three Peaks Medical Plaza, North Logan, and Providence, 753-7880, or search for the Allergy Clinic online.
Security. It's the most precious thing you can give your home, especially if it's guaranteed. No cheap locks, no weak keys, no inadequate hardware, just the expertise and precision and security. Beezer Lock and Key believes there's no place like a safe home, and no home safer than one secured by them. It may seem they only sell locks and keys, but what they really sell is peace of mind. Search Beezer Lock and Key or go to 4th North and 1st West and just add confidence.
The annual Makita Demo Day sale is going on right now. This is Cody with Industrial Tool and Supply. You still have a few hours to come into Industrial Tool and Supply to try out the new Makita tools and save, as the entire store is at employee pricing. Plus, take advantage of Makita's new e-rebate program. Come in and visit with on-site Makita reps. But you have to hurry. This sale ends today. You'll find what you need at Industrial Tool and Supply in Logan. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
It doesn't matter who you root for. The Full Court Press has all the high school sports covered. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
It's the Full Court Press. Jason Walker and Eric Frandsen. Kind of a frustrating time for Utah State, but the thing I want to keep emphasizing, and I've tried to emphasize this every time we go through and we rant about the transfer portal and all that, is just to remember that it is going to get better. And I thought of that as I read 8968's text they sent in during the break, or I think just before the break. Actually, this is actually a little early. I read it during the break. That's why I was thinking of it. But 8968 saying, I'm to a point where it's not even fun to make fun of sports. Nobody's word is worth anything at all. Coaches, players, or water boys. It's about time to take a year or two off and let this whole mess fall off its own gluttonous weight or get better. I'm sorry to have little hope. I'm sorry I have little hope for much going to be favorable. Basically, there are times where you feel like this, where it's like, why are we even doing this? Because, again, it seems like it's impacting G5 teams even worse. Because you're a Power 5 team, you're loaded with 4-star recruits. You know, if you're at the upper, playoff caliber teams, you got 5-star recruits. And you're the ones who keep picking off these quality, G5 starters to bolster your roster. That's what the portal is to them. You lose the 3 or 4-star recruit who was a freshman and wasn't playing, and that's frustrating, and it's hard to retain your roster, but then you're filling it with a bunch of G5 starters. So it's not really it's kind of frustrating to the upper teams, but it's more of an inconvenience. For Utah State, this is their season on the line. Like, right now, their season is on the line. Like, right now, they're still fine. You lost Cooper Legas. Okay, you got Spencer Petras. He's a capable starter. You lost Devon Booth. You still got Rasul Faison and Robert Briggs, 2 very good running backs. You lose Paul Fitzgerald. That's a little harder because you're kind of worried about the depth at defensive end, but you've got guys coming in that can be good at that position, and maybe you can add some transfer portal guys to be good. But if this keeps happening over the next couple of weeks...
Right, it's open until April 30th.
Like, that's what happened last year, where their season was basically decided in the spring portal window. So right now, the Aggies, they're fine, but they're standing on a razor's edge. And could potentially, and once spring ball is over, like, there's people who've been bold enough to say, all right, I'm leaving before spring ball is even over. They're quitting on the team. How many are going to say, okay, spring ball's over, now I'm leaving? There could be an even bigger wave. I don't know if there will be, but there could be.
It's possible.
And that's what you have to worry about. So, again, the Aggies' prospects for the next year still look good. But the frustrating thing about the spring window is they looked really good, or at least potentially really good. You had a lot of reasons to be optimistic. And now you're wondering who's actually going to be around. The players who promised they were staying, promise only lasted 2 months. That's why we frustrate. That's why we spent the entire first hour talking about that. Because that's sports now. It's about trying to hope that the promises of 20-year-olds last longer than 2 months. And also the promises of 45-year-olds last longer than 2 months. Because the coaches do the same things as the players.
I can't imagine how tiring that is for a coaching staff. It's 24/7, 365, constant recruiting. Constantly recruiting the players who already said they're committed to you. You have to continue to recruit them, as well as over-recruit for high school players, junior college players, players in the transfer portal. You've always got to be recruiting.
Yeah, a lot of those junior college are probably coming into Utah State thinking, yeah, I'm going to play here and then I'm going to transfer out. There's probably a lot of them that are starting to think of Utah State that way. Same way they thought of their junior colleges as. They're going to go to junior college, transfer to D1. If they didn't get high enough in D1, they'll come to a school like Utah State and then try and transfer even further up. So it's just this constant recruiting, and that's why change has to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Because this is it's untenable. Because and the reason is fans are gonna get they're already getting sick of it. I mean, our text line has been full the last couple of days as people have been like, well, I don't want to donate to the NIL. I'm sick and tired of this.
It makes it hard to get invested in a team when you don't know from season to season who's even going to be there.
Basically, it's shut your eyes in December, open them in August, and then roll.
Yeah.
Just look at the roster and see what it's like.
6521 Max Schulga on the move again. Followed Odom and still leaving. No rhyme or reason.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. Especially because he had a career year.
Yeah, he had a solid season.
That was pretty much his best year. He didn't necessarily put career highs in everything, but it was career high in points. I think it was career high in rebounds, close to a career high in assists. Best 3-point percentage of his career, I think. Or at least since he's been like a volume minute player. Now he's leaving. I don't know where he's going. I doubt he's coming back to Utah State. I'm sure people would love to have him back. He's a very good player. The Aggies could use a versatile player like him, but
yeah.
Well, at this point, nobody at Utah State has any connection to him, so he obviously has a connection to Utah State, but I don't know if there's mutual interest. Maybe, maybe not. There have been guys who transferred away and came back. It's happened.
Yeah, they left the destination thinking they were going up, didn't really do much, and so they went back to their old place and had a good year following back it up.
Except he went out, did arguably better. Would he then come back again?
Yeah.
Because like he ain't struggling. Pretty much everybody who left the Aggies last year did as good or better. Like Ashworth is like the only one who like you can maybe argue did worse. But he was on yeah.
But we can make arguments about competitive nature of those games.
So it's like even that, like statistically he was lower, but like was he really struggling? So pretty much everyone who left did perfectly fine.
Right.
Fantastic in some cases.
8968 BYU and Utah have been doing their best to ruin and put the Aggies down since the demise of the old Skyline Conference.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, is Utah State in danger of just becoming a feeder team to BYU and Utah? Because that's where they're starting to treat them as.
It's Division I minor league.
Basically. And that's what a lot of G5, and especially G5 teams that are in close proximity to other P5 schools or P4 schools. I wonder if this is happening in a bunch of other places. And it's kind of worse for Utah State because there's two of them. They're right next to each other that are about an hour away.
2305 before we hit another timeout. My question is, how long can Aggie sports such as football and basketball live on the razor's edge and try and compete?
I think in basketball, they're going to generally do just fine. There's a lot of talent in basketball, and they also don't have the two portal windows. So I feel like for football, that's the one where it's a lot harder for them to thrive because you go through the portal, you bring your guys in, and then suddenly they're gone. Like imagine in basketball, if there was the portal window now, imagine if a portal window opened like in late August. Like that's almost the equivalent. Not quite, but kind of, or maybe like late July, that kind of thing. Where you go through camp, and then suddenly your guys are transferring again. So basketball will do okay, but for football, like, I don't know. How good is Blake Anderson at teaching guys in fall camp only as opposed to spring camp? Guys who have to start. Used to be guys that, missed spring camp and came into fall camp. They were like development or high school guys.
Based on where Utah State is in the pecking order of college football, it has to be a development program.
Yeah, but it can no longer be a development program because their developing players transfer away.
Yeah.
So they have to be a one-and-done program. Basically, diet Kentucky basketball. Always one and done, but for very different reasons. We got to take a break. We'll wrap up the first hour coming up next here on the Full Court Press.
S.E. Needham Jewelers is where Utah gets engaged. We offer a large selection of personalized service and extraordinary benefits with our integrity price guarantee. At Match Quality, you'll find our prices to be as low or lower than any store in the state. We consistently beat any 50 to 70% off sales, internet pricing, or so-called wholesale deals. In fact, we even price our diamonds at internet pricing, so you'll get S.E. Needham quality at internet prices. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. My wife and I were laughing the other day because she read an article about things not to buy online. The first thing was prom dresses. Dresses advertised versus dresses delivered. Needless to say, what people thought they were getting is not what they got. It's much the same with mattresses. Almost always, buying a mattress online ends in buyers being let down. At My Mattress, we try to always exceed expectations. Lower prices than online, and better beds. Only at My Mattress.
This is Jay from Daryl's Appliance. It's time for our annual spring savings event. Stop by this Saturday and enter to win a 16 cubic foot freezer. Double dip in savings with exclusive mail-in rebates. Save on scratch and dent appliances and get a 2-year parts and labor extended warranty for free. Support Daryl's, your local appliance store, and we guarantee to give you the lowest price and the highest quality service. Our 54 years in business has given us the experience you deserve. Join us for the biggest sale of the year at Daryl's Appliance, where service always comes first. Daryl's West on Airport Road. Listen for a live radio broadcast Saturday morning.
Did you know one of the Intermountain West's top dog trainers lives right here in Cache Valley? His name is Brian, and his business is called Arate. He's trained police, military, emotional support dogs, and more. And now he's training family dogs right here in Cache Valley.
Hi, I'm Brian, and I love working with dogs. Any breed, any behavior. Does your dog bark? Are they aggressive towards strangers? Do they just not listen no matter what you try? I can change your dog's behavior. It's guaranteed to work and guaranteed to last.
Call 435-535-1169 or visit arete.dog. That's ARETE.dog or Google Arete Dog Training. Remember, big, mean, or small, we train them all.
Here's Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, with another tip for your lawn.
It's been a wet, cool, crazy year for your lawn. Soil temperatures have been slow to warm up. Over the next few weeks, you'll see weeds fight for space and try to take over your lawn. Dandelions pack about 200 seeds on each flower. Those seeds can blow up to 5 miles and live up to 7 years. We can help you win the weed battle. Call the Lawn Doctor at 753-LAWN or go to lawndoctor.com.
Join the show by calling 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Spring weather is here, and if you want to take your mind off of all the transfer nonsense that we've got going on here with football and basketball, maybe you can get all of your lawnmower, four-wheelers, side-by-side, motorcycles, get all those fired up, do all the maintenance you need to do on them. If you need any of the parts, see your locally owned Napa Auto Parts for spark plugs, air filters, oil, batteries, car wash supplies, all that and more. All the best names in the business. NGK, Napa Gold Filters, Schaefer's, Mobile One. They can get you in and out fast so you can get the yard work done, out and, or on the trail fast. And again, just away from transfer portal stuff. All that's in stock now at your 5 locally owned Napa Auto Parts from Preston to Providence. So I guess kind of the overwhelming theme for me just this hour is the nature of the spring portal. Because we know what the transfer portal is. Nobody's surprised that Utah State can't maintain its players. It's the timing for me that's becoming the most frustrating. Because if the Aggies rotate guys in and out of the winter portal, you can handle that. They're handling it perfectly fine in basketball. But it is very much the timing that really feels like it's just completely unfair for teams like Utah State, where you just lose starters at the drop of the hat and have basically no chance to replace them.
Yeah, you spend your recruiting cycle going after players who you lost in December. So you have until the first weekend of February or early February to fill some of those gaps definitively because you have the early signing period and then you have the late signing period, and those are times to kind of fill the holes from players who are announcing they're going to leave. Then you're getting everybody together. All right, let's get on the field. Let's work on our development. Let's figure out who we are. Let's work on new things. And as you're getting close to finishing that off, another crop of players are leaving. And then you have to start up the recruiting cycle once again and try to fill those gaps. And then you have to wait until they arrive in August, late July, to start opening up the playbook once again. And so you're just that much further behind as a team.
Yeah, they've just finished trying to implement the offense and defense with a bunch of new players, and they have to do it again. And it's not just, because there are always guys that would come in and fall, but they didn't necessarily have to be starters. So again, it's just you don't have time to replace your starters when they leave in the spring window. That's going to do it for us in the first hour. We're going to cheer things up a little bit. We're going to talk about the incoming hockey team for the state of Utah.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. With the legalization of sports gambling, professional sports leagues have faced plenty of scrutiny. Calvin Ridley suspended for a full season after multiple wagers. Former first-round pick Jamison Williams sat out 4 games after placing bets inside the Lions facility. Yesterday, it was announced the Raptors' Jonte Porter would receive a lifetime ban after it was found that he was connected to betting on NBA games. Porter was said to have made 13 bets while a member of the team, and one of those involved him betting on himself to underperform, and another, it involved betting on his Raptors to lose in a parlay. That punishment may appear to be extreme after the slap on the wrist the NFL has handed out, but betting against yourself, betting against your current team, that's more extreme than those that we had in the NFL. And although you hate to see a young player throw away his career, nothing is more important to these professional sports leagues than integrity. The NBA doubled down on that yesterday. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise.